All right, guys, it's Dr. Ryan, and today we're going to talk with one of my patients, Perry, about his experience with SummaUp. Perry, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you live, your hobbies, family, etc.
Sure. I live in Ocean Beach, California, which is part of San Diego, literally right on the beach. Primarily, hobbies have been cycling has been a big one, and I do a lot of fitness-related things as well, and just staying active. That's really kind of my hobby, if you will. I'm not much of a couch potato or staying inside a whole lot.
Yeah, I've gone to San Diego for a couple of meetings, and that's just a wonderful, wonderful city. So many outdoor activities, and there's a spirit of athleticism in the entire population that I think is hard to find in many cities across the country. That's awesome. Very cool. Okay, so why don't we dive right in? So why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience prior to starting up with SummaUp and working with me? So what were some of the problems that you were really trying to isolate and solve?
Well, I can answer that pretty well because, as I said, I'm active. I've always been active. I was finding with the level of activity, I was tiring out and I just felt something was missing. I thought I had a pretty good handle on things. I ate well. I didn't eat a lot of the bad stuff, but I was kind of dragging, and I really got focused on progressing my fitness and improving things. But I was struggling and I didn't know what to do. I did a lot of research, I did a lot of reading and things like that. And it occurred to me that I think a lot of the problems I was having with cramping and just no progress in my fitness level was coming back to some nutrition and actually having the proper guidance for that, because I just, as knowledgeable as I can be, I'm just not getting there.
Okay. And it sounds like you spent a lot of time trying to fix these issues, right? To fix your physique, to fix your metabolism, to fix your exercise capacity. What were some of the things you had done to do so that unfortunately did not work?
Well, actually, I looked into some trainers. I had some time with different trainers, and they always want to talk about nutrition, this and that, but it was never terribly structured, and they were more along the line of making sure that I was in shape and I did enough cardio and I did things, and it was just really not focused. And so I spent a lot of money on these other folks that I didn't find any benefit to. So I was on a search to find somebody or something or some program that would help me get to the next level.
Okay. Was there some sort of inciting event that made you finally say, okay, enough's enough, I'm done, going down the personal trainer route or the nutrition route? I got to do something more holistic with a physician, maybe taking a look at a lot of other biomarkers, maybe optimizing hormones. So what made you say, okay, I got to do something?
Well, I'll be honest. I had a significant life change last year. My wife passed away, and it made me look at myself, of what I've been doing and some of the struggles. And after she passed, I, like a lot of people, kind of went down for a while. She was always the kind of person that said, hey, pick yourself up by the bootstraps and get going. And I had that happen some months ago, earlier this year, and I just started to focus on it. And I don't want to say I did it for her, but it was inspired by her drive and determination. So I knew something had to change because what I was doing was not working.
What was her name, if you don't mind me asking? Cheryl. Okay, Cheryl?
Cheryl, yeah.
Cheryl. Well, I mean, obviously it's very difficult for anyone to go through life circumstances similar to that, death of a loved one. But I'm really amazed. I'm really happy that you're able to take that experience and turn around. And I think Cheryl, wherever she is, would have really, really appreciated that and cheered you on. So it's cool that you're taking the spirit of who she was and kind of manifesting it by making that choice. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. And so you'd hit this wall, right? And so how did you find out about us? I mean, obviously you recognized something had to be done, but then you had to find out what needed to be done and find an adequate solution. So how did you find out about the clinic and myself?
Well, it was a variety of different things. The internet being what it is, when you start searching one thing, they'll start popping up on social media and another place and things. And I'll be honest, I think it came up in a Facebook feed at some point. Somebody had mentioned something there, and then I started researching it. And I'll be honest, you were just one of several different organizations that I was looking into.
And that's a good point. I mean, I'm really thankful that you made the choice to work with me, but I recognize that there are many competitors in the field or options in the field. What made you say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go with this guy versus physician A, B, or C, or clinic X, Y, or Z?
I can condense it down to the fact that you didn't try and sell me. Your organization wasn't a sales organization. Hey, come on board, rah, rah, and all this stuff. We logically talked through where I was at, what I had in my head, where I wanted to go, and my interpretation of the sort of things that needed to happen. And I was able to have a very frank conversation and come to an understanding that I think you guys get it. There's other outfits, even local here to San Diego, that, like I said, I just got the salesy feel to it. They just wanted me on board. They just wanted the money. I didn't get that sense from SummaUp. I just didn't get that.
It's difficult for me to disparage other providers because I don't know their business model, but I can only speak for myself. And the reality is, in order for any business or any entity to find a good product market fit, number one, you have to offer a product people want, right? Mm-hmm. And how do you find that out? Well, you have to understand what people want. And so I kind of approach that with every patient. I really try to understand what their concerns are, what they want to achieve, what's their ideal performance state, right? We may have talked about that initially, right? Mm-hmm. And then most of the time I can help them achieve it. Sometimes I can't, right? And I just would rather be upfront and honest about that. And I think people generally respect it. I'm glad that kind of resonated with you too.
It so totally did.
Great. Okay, so now let's transition over to your experience after joining the clinic. What are some of the changes you noticed in your physique and overall health?
First off, I would say after, I'll say the initial period, starting the supplementations, I just felt better doing my workouts. It's not like I was stronger, meaner, lift heavier or anything. It was just, I felt better and I wasn't having the recovery problems that I was previously. You know, I knew about drinking enough water. I knew about making sure I had the proteins. I knew about some of the other things. But again, it was still missing something. So going through the process, having the initial blood work done up and reviewing those and coming up with a plan of how to improve all those markers, I started feeling a benefit within a few weeks. You know, it's not an overnight thing. I still put in the effort. I still get up at 4:30 in the morning and I go to the gym and things like that, but I could see a difference pretty quickly. And then I started noticing, because I have one of those scales that show the body fat content, and I started seeing that come down. That's one of the big things for me. I want to shed the body fat. So I started just feeling better, and the body fat content was coming down. And now, after several months, I'm definitely stronger, and I've got other people going, they're just really impressed with the progress I've made over the past couple of months, and they have no idea that I'm on this program.
Well, I mean, that's always wonderful to get other people recognized. Like myself and the other members of the clinic we always love to cheer our patients on, and I've seen the crazy changes you've made, but it's always nice when you see it externally and you see it and you get that confidence to be like, well, hey, you know, I'm working hard and pushing myself, and it's great that you're noticing. Mm-hmm. You did kind of talk about recovery. Can we double click on that? Like, how exactly was your recovery compromised after workouts? How was it much better afterwards?
Well, I'll tell you, prior to being in the program, I was having a whole lot of problems with cramping in the hands and my back and my legs, either my hamstring or my calf, one or the other. I would say it's probably a 90 or 95% decrease. And I know when I'm not drinking enough water, and maybe I haven't had enough nutrition in the day, is when I see that sort of thing. I have a very busy life. I start work probably 7 o'clock in the morning. That's why I go to the gym so early. I do a lot of business entertaining, if you will. So I've got to go out to dinners. I'm traveling a lot right now. So as much as I try, and I hate to admit it, I just haven't been 100% of my workouts. But even while traveling, I'm doing some pretty good workouts as well. I will source a gym to go do it. So the benefits that I'm seeing now from those challenges is I just don't have the cramps that I used to. I can actually feel some buildup, I guess, in the muscle mass.
Yeah, and there's like a specific approach you want to take to that. You want to ensure that your macros are appropriate, the appropriate amount of protein, carbs, and fats, your electrolytes are in check, and you're on a good supplement and medication program. And that's something that we all try to really focus on. I'm glad that you see the results of that. Perfect.
Oh, absolutely.
And it also
Absolutely.
seems like you can power through them. One thing that you had mentioned to me prior to starting was just the feelings of, you just had exhaustion at the end of the day and almost like a sense of dread before going into your workouts. I sense
Yep.
that has been erased.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm jazzed, and I like I said, people have noticed a difference just in not only physically but also in mental state, if you will. I have a little bit more motivation, I guess, now than I used to. So I think it's all a building process, and I look forward to that growing even more.
Yeah. Well, let's switch a little bit. We talked a little about your health and physique, but what about how did that motivation, that energy, that mental clarity, how did that impact you in terms of your business and career?
I would say real well from the aspect that I have more of a presence. My job, I'm a consultant, and I consult with a lot of executives, and I work with a sales organization. I also have to talk to the sales organization and get them on board with what I'm trying to communicate, and then they get me into meetings with the executives I'm supposed to talk to. There's a lot more response back now because I'm feeling better, I'm more motivated, and that's coming across even in video meetings. I'm doing a lot more in person and a lot more travel, as I mentioned, but also a lot of it's still on video, and it comes across. People have responded to me rather well.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to work with a dynamic and energetic, enthusiastic individual that's going to offer them a product that they really need, right? I'm glad that you're able to manifest that and show that, and I'm assuming that's worked out with more deals and your bottom line, which is really, really good.
It's working out that way, yeah. And I almost have to sometimes make sure I keep it dialed back just a touch because I can get so enthused.
Well, I mean, I think I do agree, sometimes you got to read the room, but I think all of us really appreciate a vendor or an individual is enthusiastic about their product or service. It almost gives us confidence that, hey, this guy really believes it works. What about some of the changes you saw in terms of your relationships with your family, friends? And I know that your wife passed away, but if you're moving on and looking at other potential candidates for a relationship, how's that been affected?
I would say surprisingly well, and I only say it in that way. What I mentioned as far as how I carry myself with the sales teams, with executives, I'm in front of people speaking a lot. That's carried over into, I'll say, the romantic side of things, in that my relationship, I've had a lot more women pay attention to me than I had expected. And that wasn't necessarily my going in position. I think it just goes along with the whole mantra of the way I'm carrying myself now. It is different. Looking back, I can see a difference. I have to be real good at time management, quite frankly. I got to tell you, I ran into a couple yesterday that I hadn't seen in probably a month and a half or so. And we were in the gym, and they're like, "What happened with you?" And that's in a good way, mind you. What happened with you? And that's validates what I'm feeling.
Just to kind of talk a little bit about that, have you noticed that within your peer group, you're just leagues and leagues ahead of them?
Oh yeah. There are just all kinds of folks that are 10 or more years younger than me that look older.
Oh my goodness.
When I mention how old I am to folks who don't know, they're like, "No, please, really?" Yeah. So, and it's interesting as far as some of the younger women have an interest, and I'm just not. Quite honestly, I'm not there to date anybody in their 40s or earlier 50s or something like that.
As you get leaner, and I envision this happening more and more and more, you become an anomaly. And what's really sad is when you go outside, and I see this even among like younger individuals, right? If you were kind of fit, like if you were fairly fit, had a six pack, yeah, you would stick out like 20 or 30 years ago. But there were other people that worked out and were interested, in fitness. And it wasn't like an incredible anomaly. Today, yeah. I don't know if it's COVID or like the processed foods or just like people just giving up. I mean, you are an extreme anomaly, right?
Well,
and so
interesting sidelight real quick. One gal that I just met this week, she's a year older than me, and she's as fit or better than I am. This gal's 5'7" and about
wow.
pounds, and she's built. She's incredible. When she saw me, she goes, "Oh my God, you look better than your pictures."
Well, good. Well, I mean, hopefully you can find a like-minded individual and both of you can kind of take over, I guess.
That's the exact type of person that I need in my life, though. That somebody that is that motivated, that goes to the gym all the time, that's active, that does stuff, and is actually kind of kind. So
As a
particular person.
What you put out there, you'll get back. It's the truth, right? Because on some level, those people want the same things too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we talked about some of the changes you saw in terms of your health and your physique, and then in your business and your career and your romantic life. Or were there any other benefits that you noticed that came with working with the clinic?
I would say, as far as the whole program goes, my requirement for sleep, I would say with quality, let me put it this way, for quality sleep is less. And I only say that because I'm averaging about 5 to 6 hours a night. And it's not like I'm tired all the time. It's just that that's all my body wants or needs right now. There are times I'll sleep maybe 7 hours, but that's a long night to me right now. So just in the matter of number of hours I'm operating during the day has increased. Just focus on being able to get things done. One of the big changes for me, it has been that focus. And I think it's a myriad of things within the program that has helped with that.
That I think is something which I think is wonderful in regards to you, but and I think you're special. I think you're unique, but it's actually something I hear a lot from my patients. The fact that, for many of them, when they come to me, they're like, well, that they're at a point where they're plateauing and they're maybe considering slowing down. But once we optimize their biomarkers, their physique, their exercise regimen, their diet, they're like, no way, I'm not going to slow down. I'm going to the stars, right? I'm going to grow and grow and grow. And the fact that, instead of thinking that, you're at the precipice of of the hill and you're about to drop down, and then change that mindset to like, no, I'm going straight upwards. I'm going to see there's a linear progression or even exponential progression for the next 10 to 15 years, I think is, in my mind, I'm always really excited and heartened by it. But I'm glad to see that you are recognizing that too.
Yep.
And I see really great things from you in the future, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, what would you tell someone who's watching this interview and uncertain about joining the clinic? What would you tell that person?
What I would say is that do your research and determine the right fit. I would say I believe in your program as a great fit for a grand majority of people because of your approach. I don't want to be a number. I wanted somebody that would pay attention to me. I wanted somebody that would guide me, that helped me with things I don't know enough about. I know enough that I don't know, and you guys have helped with that. So what I would say to somebody that's considering it, step out, invest in yourself, and go with this program and put into it what you need to. Because the amount that you put in, you're gonna multiple times get back out.
Well, I mean, that is pretty much what we try to offer, just a tremendous amounts of value, and I'm glad that you see that.
Yeah, I see the value. I see the value.
Well, Perry, I really appreciate you talking about your experience with the clinic. And like I said, I'm really excited to see the things that come. You've already made great strides in your time here. And I can't wait to see what the next several months unfold for you.
I'm pretty anxious about it myself. I know I've been kind of impatient along the way and I get angst over it, but I'm ready to get out there and do some more.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again.
You bet.